Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into something really profound. We're looking at the absolute core of human motivation and resilience, and we're doing it through the lens of Viktor Frankl's truly groundbreaking psychological theory.
Seriously, ask yourself, when everything else is completely stripped away, what is the fundamental force that keeps us going? I mean, is it just chasing pleasure? Is it the drive for power and status? Or is it something a whole lot deeper than that?
There's this incredible quote by the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche: "He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how." And honestly, that hit the nail on the head. It perfectly sets the stage for what we're talking about today, shifting our focus from just surviving to finding a real, profound reason to exist.
Now, we aren't just tossing around philosophical ideas today. We're grounding this explainer in some serious research, looking at peer-reviewed literature, like publications and advances in environmental biology, to really unpack how this psychological framework functions.
The crucible of meaning, surviving the unsurvivable.
To really grasp these concepts, we have to understand the extreme, unimaginable testing ground where they were forged. Viktor Frankl was a brilliant Viennese neurologist and psychiatrist, but his theories, they weren't cooked up in some comfortable academic office. He was a Holocaust survivor. He lived through the absolute horrors of Nazi concentration camps, including Auschwitz, and tragically lost almost his entire family in the process.
And it was in those camps that Frankl made a profound observation. He noticed that survival didn't just correlate with physical luck or brute strength. The ultimate differentiator was purpose. Even when literally everything human was stripped away from them, the prisoners who held on to a why for the future, maybe a loved one waiting for them or a piece of work they needed to finish, those were the people most apt to survive.
The paradigm shift, the third Viennese school.
Those harrowing experiences led Frankl to totally break away from the psychological establishment of his time. Before him, Sigmund Freud was arguing that humans are driven by this will to pleasure, right? Just trying to reduce tension. Then Alfred Adler came along and said, no, it's a will to power. But Frankl introduced a radical shift. He called it the will to meaning. He argued that seeking purpose is, hands down, our primary human drive.
He called this entirely new approach logotherapy. Logos is a Greek word that translates to meaning, and so this therapy focuses directly on the meaning of human existence and our deep search for it. Frankl didn't look at this search for meaning as just some secondary symptom of trying to be happy. He treated it as an objective reality, literally the core engine of our existence.
And this completely flips how we view mental health. Usually, we think the goal is homeostasis, that feeling of seeking a totally tension-free, balanced, comfortable state, just chillin'. But Frankl argued the exact opposite. He believed real mental health actually requires what he called existential tension. We need to embrace the gap between who we are right now and the worthwhile goal we are striving to achieve.
The framework, 3 paths to meaning.
Okay, so if we need this tension, how do we actually find the meaning to create it? Frankl mapped out 3 distinct paths, a nice little rule of 3, to show that purpose is accessible to literally everyone. First, through creative values, like doing a deed or making a work of art. Second, through experiential values, which is taking in nature, art, or deeply experiencing human love. And third, through attitudinal values, the stance we choose to take toward unavoidable suffering.
It's that third path that is absolutely crucial. Because even if the first 2 paths are totally blocked, if you can't create anything and you're cut off from experiencing joy or love, this proves that meaning is never actually destroyed by circumstance. It is maintained by our inner freedom to choose our attitude, no matter what awful situation we might be facing.
The modern crisis, the existential vacuum.
So how does all of this translate to our everyday lives outside the extreme context of those camps? Well, Frankl diagnosed a modern condition that he called the existential vacuum. It's this incredibly widespread crisis where people feel a deep inner emptiness just because they lack a clear life purpose. And the tricky part, people often don't even realize they're in it because it masks itself as chronic boredom, restlessness, or just compulsive behavior.
If you've ever felt a persistent emptiness, even when you're materially successful, this is exactly why. Symptoms of this vacuum include profound boredom, spiritual distress that gets mistaken for clinical depression, and this compulsive need to just be busy or buy things to fill the void. But the biggest trap of all is what's called the hedonic paradox. It's the wild fact that the harder you chase happiness directly, the more it actually runs away from you. True fulfillment only ever shows up as a side effect of living a meaningful life.
To cure this vacuum, Frankl says we need a massive perspective shift using Socratic framing. We naturally sit around asking the wrong question. What do I expect from life?
But we actually need to flip that around entirely and ask, what does life expect from me? Life is the one questioning us, right? And our job is to answer it by taking responsibility through our daily actions.
The solution: embracing tragic optimism.
So how do we answer life's questions when things get genuinely dark? Frankl didn't sugarcoat reality at all. He acknowledged what he called the tragic triad, 3 unavoidable aspects of the human experience that every single one of us is going to encounter for sure: pain, guilt, and death.
And this brings us to the profound discipline of tragic optimism. It's the incredibly powerful ability to remain optimistic in spite of that tragic triad. It's about taking unavoidable tragedies and using them as catalysts to build character. You turn suffering into an achievement. You use guilt as an opportunity to change for the better. And you use the shortness of life, the fact that we're all going to die, as the ultimate incentive to take responsible action right now.
The ultimate secret to unlocking this optimism? Self-transcendence. Meaning is found when we look past our own immediate comfort and direct our attention outward. Instead of getting trapped in endless inward self-analysis, we find true meaning when we connect with a cause to serve or someone to love.
Life is quite literally waiting for your unique contribution. No one else can do it but you. So as you step back into your day, I want to leave you with this final thought to really ponder. What is your specific assignment or mission in life today? Thank you so much for exploring the depths of human meaning with me in this explainer.